Labor lost the last federal election because it seemed so anti-coal, and anti-coal mines in particular, like Adani. Right now, New South Wales Labor is desperately trying to win a by-election in Hunter, which is coal mining territory. So pardon my cynicism when I learned that it is now selected as its candidate in Hunter a coal miner who wants activists to stop trashing coal. And pardon my even greater cynicism when federal Labor spokesman Madeleine King now says that Labor is actually very pro-coal. She says it's a major export. It's in our top 3 at any given time. We all want a renewable energy future, but it cannot happen overnight. So junk these climate wars. Well, that's rich. The party that once told us that global warming is the great moral challenge of our time, that's helped close some of our biggest power stations in the country, now tells us to junk the climate wars. Learn to love coal. Can't wait to see Labor leader Anthony Albanese waving his block of coal on the floor of Parliament. Well, joining me is the political panel, Michael Kroger, former Victorian Liberal President, Steve Conroy, former Federal Labor Minister. Michael, can we believe a word of Labor's road to Damascus conversion into a coal mining party?
No, Andrew, not a word. The truth is Labor got 68 seats in the House of Reps. They need to win 8 seats net to win the election. To do that, they've got to win seats in Western Australia and Queensland, where they hold 11 of 46 seats. So the fertile ground for them at the election is in those 2 states. And the brain trust at federal Labor have sat down and said to Albanese and their shadow cabinet, unless we're pro-mining, i.e. pro-coal, etc., we cannot win the federal election. So they sent out a number 7 batsman, like the member from Western Australia who spoke today, to say, yes, we're pro-coal. What the public really needs to hear is Albanese and Plebiscite and Kim Carr and Bill Shorten and these people all out there at a joint press conference supporting coal and supporting the opening of new coal mines. And then the electorate might start to believe just a little bit of what they say.
Steve Conroy, how can we believe it when they sent out Madeleine King, who probably most people would barely know, instead of having these words come out of the mouth of Anthony Albanese? How is this really serious when they say we love coal, or we don't want a war against coal, and yet there's still very pro-global warming policies that actually make an enemy of coal?
Well, I think that what Madeleine's demonstrated is that Labor Party can walk and chew gum. I mean, I rejoice that the party has decided to have a rational conversation. I mean, what she said made absolute, perfect, common sense. So I'm surprised you're being critical, Andrew. I would have thought you would actually said, "My God, about time
critical,
Labor."
Cynical. I don't know how you can say you're pro-coal when you're still endorsing global warming policies that actually inevitably lead to the death of coal.
Well, I'm not sure that Scott Morrison would remotely take a block of coal into the chamber today. So I don't think you're applying a fair test here. He has done enough to run away from his day of holding up the big block of coal. Here it is, have a look in question time. So let's be fair to Madeleine. I think she's got a tough job. I think she's taken a big step. And there'll be still people in the Labor Party who will be uncomfortable with this position. But clearly the leadership understands that if we want to be competitive at the next election, we do have to win seats in Queensland. We do have to actually say to people who work in the sector, whose livelihoods rely on the jobs created in the sector across West Australia and Queensland, and say, we are willing to publicly support you. And that is a very positive sign. If I was Scott Morrison today, I'd be a little bit nervous that maybe the Labor Party has learnt some of the mistakes that it's made over the last few years, and now is actually going to be a serious
look,
contest.
I hope you're right, and I'm hearing you, Mark. I'm hearing you, Steve. But I need to see the policies on global warming change, not just the rhetoric around it. It's one thing to say, it's another thing to do. But
Scott Morrison is now lining up. But Scott Morrison is lining up to support zero emissions by 2050. And he's still going to have a coal sector. So Labor and
don't think I won't be mentioning that when that happens. You are so right. You are so right. But when it happens, I'll have a lot to say.